and welcome to Kogi in Focus, your weekly program that keeps you abreast of happenings and development in and around Kogi, Nigeria's confluent state, within the last 7 days. I'm Oluwatosin Usuji. On the package today, Kogi Governor Bello promises not to impose candidates on the people of the state. State government begins vaccination of cattle against killer diseases. And when we hit the streets, we will hear what the people think of Kogi State at 27. These and more when we return. Welcome back. The Kogi State government has advised residents of flood-prone communities in the state to relocate to a safer place to avoid loss of lives and property. The Commissioner for Environment and Natural Resources, Sanusi Yaya, made the call in a press release to journalists in LOKOJA. Sanusi said in view of the heavy rainfall recorded so far this year due to climate change, as well as a high volume of water from tributaries of rivers Niger and Benue, the development may cause flooding in Omala, Bassa, Kogi Koton Karfi, Lokoja, Ajaokuta, Ofu, Ida, Ibaji, and Igalamela Odolu. The Commissioner said the government is preparing temporary shelters for flood victims in the event of any emergency. Kogi State government has embarked on vaccinating cattle, sheep and goats across the 21 government areas where the deadly bovine pleuropneumonia and petit ruminant diseases have killed over 150 cows. The director of the Federal Department of Veterinary and Pest Control Services, Dr. Olaniran Alabi, said if the right steps are not taken, the disease can spread onto humans. He promised to assist the state government by deploying thousands of veterinary doctors across the state to vaccinate their animals. Government called for the cooperation of nomadic farmers by allowing doctors vaccinate their animals.
Alabi acknowledged what he described as the timely intervention of the Kogi State government to halt the spread of the contagious diseases.
We received reports in Abuja that CBPP outbreak has occurred in Kogi State, and several animals were dying, and we decided to support the state with vaccines and other vaccination logistics for them to be able to control the disease, since we know that this disease is a vaccine preventable disease, that once the animals are vaccinated, we are able to prevent the disease.
He called on stakeholders to cooperate with the state government to get rid of the diseases. Secretary to the state government, Ayuade Folashade Arike, said the safety of animals and ultimately humans is government's top priority.
There's need for us to be proactive in making sure that the cattle are vaccinated against this deadly disease, and that's why we are here gathered with the Fulani herdsmen to sensitize them on the need to release their animals for vaccination.
Commissioner of Agriculture Olontoba Kehinde said the vaccination campaign will get to all nooks and crannies in the state where cattle are reared.
And across the state, more than 150 animals have died to this deadly disease. And we told His Excellency Alhaji Bello, who immediately directed that we take steps to contain further spread of this. And that is what necessitated the procurement of vaccines and putting all veterinary doctors on alert. We have identified all the settlements. We have the data already.
Herdsmen in the state promised to cooperate.
The Ministry of Agric, which did actually a very wonderful job. We thought it was just the normal saying. Just you say something in newspapers and televisions, but at the end of the day, you see nothing. But this, we see the reality.
Yaya Bello, a try for us. Yaya Bello, a try for the Kogi people. Yaya Bello, a try for the farmers.
The outbreak of contagious bovine pleuropneumonia and pestis ruminant diseases among cattle in the state started in the east and central areas of the state.
Kogi State Governor Yahya Bello has dismissed rumors that he has chosen his list of aspirants seeking political office ahead of the 2019 general elections, saying he believes in democratic processes and the freedom of party members to determine who guns for political office. The governor, who through his Director General, Media and Publicity, Kingsley Fanwo, said he will provide a level playing ground for all contestants in the forthcoming polls. He said candidates must emerge through free, fair and credible primaries. The Kogi State government says the state is not where it's supposed to be, but it's in much better shape than how the present administration met it. Director General to the Governor on Information and Grassroots Sensitization, Abdul Malik Abdul Karim, who gave breakdown to journalists of the state government's achievements since Yahya Bello became governor in 2016, said the state capital, LOKOJA, and 21 local governments are much better places to be.
Kogi State celebrates 27 years of existence on August 27. While acknowledging that things could be better, the Director General Information and Grassroots Sensitization says there are reasons to be thankful.
In terms of development, to meet the yearnings and aspirations of the people, leaders in the past did not really help matters to ensure that every part of Kogi State was seen in unison. If you don't belong to a particular ethnic group, as it were, you could not aspire to certain positions in the state. If you don't belong to a particular religious faith, there are positions that you can never go near. So with this bridge of harmony that the government of Alhaji Yahya Bello has brought to bear is the foundation that we need to move the state forward.
He said the past security threats are no longer there and a conducive environment has been created in the state for local and foreign investors.
To build a road, it wasn't in one day. So the rudiments of development should be the focal point for at first instance, where the government has succeeded in doing. And now we're moving to the next level. So Kogi at 27 can now be said that today it is one of the freest and secured states in the country. But don't forget that for the first time in the history of the state, the British High Commissioner came to Kogi State.
Abdul Malik urged the people to support the state government in its plans to transform the state from a civil service state to an industrial hub.
We have to let the people of the state know that anybody from any part of the state can aspire to any position. We have to let the people of the state know that as a leader of the state, every hamlet in the state is your constituency. So wherever you can find somebody who can assist you to do a good job, you go for him.
Kogi State is among 9 states created in August 27, 1991 by the then military administrator Ibrahim Babangida. It shares borders with 10 other states and the Federal Capital Territory. Kogi is called the Confluence State as the rivers Niger and Benue meet at the state capital Lokoja, which was Nigeria's first administrative capital.
Kogi State Governor Yahya Bello has congratulated the people of the state on the 27th anniversary of its creation in a statement released by his Chief Press Secretary, Petra Akinti-Onyebuli. The governor assured the people of his administration's commitment to developing the state and delivering dividends of democracy. Governor Bello thanked God for sustaining the state this far. He said Kogi State is on the right path despite numerous challenges faced, and that the state government is committed to harnessing the diverse economic potentials of the state and position it in a sound economic footing. If you are just joining us, this is Kogi in Focus, a weekly review of activities and happenings in and around Kogi State in north-central Nigeria. For your information, contributions, event coverage, and advert placement, please contact us through our social media handles and phone numbers displayed on your screen. Journalists in Kogi State have joined their colleagues around the country to protest against alleged impunity against its members. The placard-carrying journalists gathered at the NUJ Press Center, LOKOJA, chanting solidarity songs. Chairman of the Kogi State Council of the Nigeria Union of Journalists, Momojumo Adeiza, said the protest was in line with its national body's move to raise awareness on the perceived injustice against its members across the nation. Adeiza said the unlawful detention of journalists and the demolition of media was top on the NUJ's concerned list. He said it was unfortunate that such things were happening in Nigeria, a signatory to charters on the safety of journalists. Adeiza said a formal complaint letter will be delivered to the state. The Chief Press Secretary to the Kogi State Governor, Petra Akinti-Onyebuli, has donated a digital incubator and mother and child care kits to the babies ward of Specialist Hospital, LOKOJA. The governor's aide, who is also the founder of Tiny Beat Hearts Initiatives, said it gladdens her heart to see babies born premature survive.
We want our little ones to be as comfortable as where they were coming from. So on behalf of Tiny Beating Hearts Initiative, we present this digital incubator and these medical consumables that we hope will be used to save more little hearts so that they will grow and impact their world.
The Chief Press Secretary to the Kogi State Governor, Petra Akinti-Onyebuli, says her experience and passion towards tiny beating heart babies pushed her to champion the PET program TBHI to help as many babies as possible to survive the condition with the help of God and well-meaning Nigerians. Akinti-Onyebuli said this at the Tiny Beating Hearts Initiative Stakeholders Meeting held at the boardroom of the Specialist Hospital in LOKOJA, Kogi State.
With less than 3 million, we're able to do everything that we did today, including the summit. So if we set our hearts to it and we set our priorities right, then we'll be able to do the things that we need to do. We did these donations because we know that for some babies, especially babies that are born to poor parents, coming as a preemie in a society like ours that is bedeviled with a lot of inadequacies, especially in the health sector, is like the judge hitting the gavel and saying that you've been sentenced to death. Corporate organizations, wealthy individuals, churches, mosques, that please do something for these vulnerable people who do not have anyone to speak for them.
Medical doctors at the event said government had a huge role to play in tackling this issue and to support NGOs with genuine missions to reduce maternal and child mortality.
It's just one out of what is possible, and a further addition to the call and the cry for more participation, private sector participation, individual participation, or participation of non-governmental organizations towards what the government is doing. We just left the maternity and we saw what maternal MCSP is doing through USAID funds, and that is what we're talking about. The government alone, because of the contending demands for resources, won't be able to handle everything. But with all of us working together, a proper coordination through the Ministry of Health and the Hospital Management Board, I think we can mobilize resources from outside government, within government, to begin to tidy up the areas of critical need.
Now that advocacy has reached this level, now that it's in the public sphere, an NGO has come up with the needs for this. By the way, the incubator in specialists, I think full functional, there are more than one incubator, but maybe only one is functional for now. This will make it two. So we should be looking at, okay, what can we do to make the other ones functional?
They called the government to establish maintenance units at all government ministries and parastatals to ensure equipment donated or purchased are judiciously put to use.
There are some even common, the anti-faucet that we use. If we are not maintaining it regularly, the thing becomes rust. And in attempt to clip it, to not be clipping, if it's possible for the state government to set up a maintenance unit, not only for hospital, for all the other sectors in the state, maintenance units, so that the one we have, we can be maintaining. If we cannot add, the one we have should not also spoil. Now, the Honorable Petra has come out with this initiative. It is time for us to stand up with her.
Tiny beat heart babies are most times premature babies, and more than 3/4 of them can be saved through existing cost-effective care.
As many communities across Kogi State enjoy good roads, the people of Atoda in Ugwolawo and Umomi in Ofuluko government area of the state are singing a different tune, as they are under threat from gully erosion that has taken over most of their land and roads. Residents called on the government at state and federal levels to come to their aid.
Actually, the state government, through Honorable YY then in the House of Assembly, signed and agreed, the legislature fully approved that the government during Ibrahim Idris should come to the aid of Ugwolawo, this Atoda road, with urgency to ensure that this erosion control is being done and the road being constructed. Since 2010, 2011, no effort has been made. I'm pleading to the individuals, spirited gifted individual, NGOs, and the federal government to please come to the aid of Atoda Community Road to assist us to ensure this erosion is being controlled.
I want this local government, chairman and senator, all of them from this Kogi East. I want me to take care of this our gutter because of the rain. Situation of the rain. If the rain appear again, everything goes dabaru.
The Ofuk local government administrator, Sule Abu Higbiti, gave an assessment of the extent of damage so far and plans of the government to remedy the situation.
It's unfortunate to having that road being eroded by water. I was there myself on Saturday to see it, and after assessing it, I think there was a report before the state government now, the Minister of Works, to make sure they comes to the aids of those people. It's a very gully erosion that wants to cut off the road from motorists having access to the two parts, those going to Anyigba and those going to Ida. And it's one of the priority of the state government to make sure roads in that area have been rehabilitated, to make sure other motorists pile in and were on it.
Kogi State government says there is no going back on efforts to improve the condition of the LOKOJA OKENE highway as it plans to liaise with the Federal Road Management Agency to repair all bad spots. The Commissioner of Works, Abdulmumuni Sadiq, made the promise during the repair of parts of the expressway in Otite Okene Road.
We are filling with boulders because for the meantime this rainy season there's no much work we can do now. We are filling with boulder as a palliative measure to enable the traffic to flow pending the time and the repair of this road. I want to appeal to federal government that this is the only road that links the north and the south. And Kogi State borders about 10 other states including FCT. There must be a priority on repairing this road. You could see what is happening here. Some of these trailer drivers, they have been sleeping here for the past 3 days. The directive of His Excellency Alhaji Ayado that Kogi State Road Maintenance Agency should come into this road and make sure that we do this repair to enable the traffic to flow. We are already in touch with the MD, Federal Road Maintenance Agency, and the Revenue Minister, and His Excellency is following it up seriously to make sure that a permanent solution is put in place.
Motorists now move along the strategic highway with limited traffic congestions. Kogi State clocked 27 on August 27. Kogi in Focus was on the streets to get the views of traditional rulers and that of residents on Kogi State's 27-year existence.
The greatest celebration comes to the man who is privileged to be in the helm of affairs. That is His Excellency Alhaji Ayado Bello. I want to believe that he is the one who is privileged and ordained by God to join us to celebrate this moment in time of 27 years. And that is why I can say confidently that it has gone beyond our imagination. Issue of amenities in the state. As a traditional ruler, we are expecting that God should give His Excellency the grace to do beyond that which he has done.
There are hopes now because we have a very young governor who is very, before I forget, I'm from Ibaji local government, and before now we've been following politics. We were not too recognized. It is during his tenure, he made my own person a deputy governor. Well, I'm happy with that. I should be happy because that name is big, we have never seen it. And other things like advisors, today we'll have them. So I should pray because the way it's working, I know greater things are coming more. And that is why we want to support him. At least if 4 years is not enough, by the 8 years, things will be okay with.
The governor has been able to use his position to unite the people of the state. No matter your religion, ethnic background, he has been able to unite the state. And with the fact that Kogi State is still one, has not divided, it's was celebrated. Kogi State presently needs a kind of declaration of emergency in our roads. You see, from Aitoro to Egbe is nothing to write home about. See the Okene road. We don't have good roads in Kogi State. And this road alone can discourage investors from coming to the state. So a lot is needed to be done to bring about infrastructural development in Kogi State. My advice to Kogi, especially those that are wealthy, is that they should come back home and invest in Kogi State.
Kogi today is better than where we started. So at least we've seen a lot of significant improvement in infrastructures and security. As my hope for Kogi is to see a strong and united Kogites.
We thank God for everything, and we thank God from the period Kogi State is being created. We are seeing it better than before. And even for the period that Yaya Bello came in, we are seeing it better than before.
And that's where we wrap it up on today's edition of Kogi in Focus. Many thanks for being a part of it. Do join us next week, same time, same station. for another 7-day review. And, as I always say, do unto others what you want them to do to you. I'm Oluwatosin Osuji. Have a lovely week.